Georgia's largest metropolitan areas. Sheriff Owens, along with other forward-thinking leaders, are seeking outcomes. The outcomes that we're all looking for within a society. How do we de-escalate situations? How do we avoid using force? How do we increase officer safety? How do we decrease subject injury? And how we limit liabilities to our cities. This is bridging law enforcement back to the community in the most positive way. Sheriff Owens is a pioneer in changing the landscape of policing, continuously exploring and developing community-centered approaches and utilizing the latest technology advances. The third most populous county in Georgia joins over 1,000 agencies across the U.S. and 60 countries worldwide who have adopted the company's solution and no harm guiding principle. WRAP Technologies, BolaWrap, is a proprietary technology that allows deputies to safely restrain individuals without causing harm or pain to those individuals. We take pride, as our company WRAP Technologies, in standing alongside one of the foremost figures in modern policing and are delighted in Cobb County's commitment to BolaWrap's promise of de-escalation and decreasing use of force within their agency. Thank you. Sheriff Owens.
Well, good morning. First and foremost, thank you all for coming out this morning to see us unveil this new technology we're bringing to the Cobb County Sheriff's Office. You know, at the Cobb County Sheriff's Office, we've always been committed to trying to find innovative ways and community-centered solutions that we face in law enforcement today. Our mission is not just about upholding the law, but in doing so to minimize harm, foster trust, and to ensure the safety of our residents of Cobb County and the safety of our dedicated deputies. In pursuit of this mission, we embarked on a journey of transformation, a journey that embraces cutting-edge technology and prioritized de-escalation techniques. We are proud to announce here at the Cobb County Sheriff's Office the adoption of the remote restraint system, also known as the BolaWrap, as you had just heard from the President. This marks a significant milestone in our commitment to no harm inspired public safety techniques. BolaWrap was developed by WRAP Technologies, is a revolutionary law enforcement tool that allows us to safely restrain individuals without causing harm or escalating situations. In the light of the Kevlar tether that can be rapidly deployed, which immobilizes the individual's legs or arms, allowing our officers to gain control while minimizing the potential harm. Our deputies completed this comprehensive training over this summer, and we have begun to implement this new device into our Adult Detention Center to swiftly manage our detainees who may initially refuse to comply. By deploying the BolaWrap, we are part of a group of forward-thinking law enforcement agents across the country who recognize the importance of reducing the use of force and enhancing the safety of our community. We're excited to partner with the BolaWrap company, and we stand alongside them in their commitment to no harm guiding principles. We're not just adopting this tool. This is part of our philosophy, a philosophy that prioritizes de-escalation, compassion, and the well-being of all individuals involved. My team knows that I'm a strict stickler about improving the technology. As we continue to explore and develop more community-oriented approaches by using the latest and best technology available. By adopting the BolaWrap, we are reinforcing our commitment to be safer, more compassionate law enforcement partners. Thank you for your support as we continue to be innovative and work tirelessly to serve and protect the citizens of Cobb County. Together, we are building a safer and more compassionate and more united community for all. You will now have an opportunity to see the demonstration of the BolaWrap in action.
All right, at this time, we're going to have Lieutenant Daniel and his training unit come up. They're going to provide a demonstration. Lieutenant Daniel is going to provide a series of instructions to make this a safe training environment for this deployment.
Good morning. At this time, if you would don your eye protection and ear protection that we provided. If you were unable to get a set when you came in, we have some over here to the right. Anybody to the left side of the cameras, if you could please move to this side of the room. All right, at this time we are going to conduct a demonstration of the BolaWrap. Deputy Paris will give the command 3 times of Bola, Bola, Bola. At that time you will hear a loud report. If you do not have hearing protection, you may use your fingers. Deputy Paris.
Bola, bola, bola.
At this time, Deputy Paris and her cover officer would approach the individual to detain the individual with restraints while she removes said tether from their legs using a set of safety medical shears. Thank you.
Trying to get this.
You're good. So prior to a deployment of the command of Bola, 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 which allows the individual and any backup officers to know the deployment is about to occur, we would give instructions to our individual, whatever it is we need them to do, whether it be to drop whatever's in their hand, to cease their movement, to not go any direction we need them to go in. Those commands will be given prior to the Bola order. At this time, Deputy Paris, if you would. If you want to go ahead and give him some type of mock command to have him stop doing an action and then proceed with the Bola, Bola, Bola.
Sir, listen to my commands. Sir, listen to my commands. Bola, bola, bola.
At this time again, we would approach the individual together.
I did see you jump there for a second. All right.
That was cool.
That's great.
That'll be the last time that ever happens.
Did it hurt?
No, didn't hurt.
No pain, no
No,
injuries.
no, it was fine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sheriff, sir, I just wondered if you could talk a little more, elaborate more. Who will have these devices? And
Well, the main deployment for right now is going into our Adult Detention Center, but we will also have these deployed to our field officers as well, our deputies out on the road. So eventually everyone in our department will have these devices readily available.
So Sheriff, just to advance on that, so you're saying that right now detention officers have them first, right?
Yes.
And then eventually,
That's correct. So the initial deployment, right, where they,
using them there yet?
yes, not completely yet, but the main folks will get it done into our detention center first, and then we'll migrate it out into our field operation personnel secondly.
Great.
I assume that would also mean court as well.
Yes. So you know, in Cobb County, our court system falls under our field operations unit.
Sure. Are you leading the way in Metro Atlanta? Are there other agencies, to your knowledge, using this kind of technology right now? What can you tell me there?
I'm not sure. I think President can maybe answer that more, but I think we're one of the first, if we're not the first, we're in the top tier of agencies in the metro to use this. But he can expand a little further on that.
Yeah, we have multiple agencies in Georgia utilizing the device. I mentioned earlier, we have almost 1,100 agencies domestically in the U.S. utilizing. But Cobb County is in the true kind of metro Atlanta area, certainly the first, largest county to come on to go to deployment within Georgia.
Sheriff, what would your message be to the residents about why technology like this is needed and what benefit it would have? Even if they're not somebody who's going to get BOLO'd, what benefit does this have for the county?
I think for us it shows the county that we're trying to be innovative and forward-thinking in our technology. We're trying to work, smarter but not harder through technology. And so by doing this, and if you pretty much know in our detention center, we have a large number of individuals who have mental health care crisis. And we don't want to get into a fight or have to physical altercation with them. We can subdue them without being physical, causing them harm. That's what we want to do so they can get the help they need, but we can restrain them and control them to get them where they need to be. So it's really a win-win for us and the community, that knowing that we're also practicing de-escalation procedures inside our facility, trying to treat them with dignity and respect, but also control them and get them the help they need.
Sir, Sheriff, have you had reports that you've read and you've come across where you felt like, boy, if we had what we had now and then would have made a huge difference? Do you feel like that's the case?
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons. That's a great question. That's one of the reasons we went to the device, because we thought, as I say, we're trying to be forward-thinking agency. We're trying to work smarter through technology, and we saw the need that this can, cut down deputy-related injuries, inmate-related injuries, and even injuries out on the streets. So now our deputies are working as well. If we can seduce someone without having a physical altercation. And a lot of times now, once they notice the devices out there and they hear them saying "bolo bolo," they may think twice. It may just stop, hopefully, and that's the reason behind it. We're just trying to, if we can de-escalate things and keep everybody safe is what we're looking for.
Sheriff, how is this different or better than a stun gun, taser, whatever people like to call it, but how is it different or better than using something like that?
Taser delivers pain. That's the easiest thing to tell you. It's not, as you know, as you took the shot, you weren't in any pain. In taser and some other devices, it produces pain to the individual we're dealing with. So we feel we can look at another way without causing pain, but still able to get the job done. Now, we're not taking taser out of our arsenal by no means, because there's a definitely need for that. But this just adds more tools to our toolbox to be more effective in what we do at the Cobb County Sheriff's Office.
Sheriff, we saw 2 demonstrations here. It happened so fast, I couldn't even tell what was going on. How would you describe what we saw? What did it do to the suspect?
Right. So the intention of the device is to immobilize him by either their legs or their arms. So they took shots there at the legs, but you also can take shots at the upper torso by the arms, which will immobilize them this way as well. And sometimes we may have to do it twice, make sure we're in the legs and arms to completely immobilize the individual. So today is just a snippet of what this device can do for complete body immobilization. And that's what we can do with this in the future.
So does it just kind of quickly wrap around?
It goes real quick. And there's a video that the company has, and it shows in slow motion how it comes out and wraps. And I'm pretty sure the president can get you a copy of that. But it just shows how it comes out deployed, it wraps around, it kind of sinks in place, which immobilizes them from moving.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the gentleman with the
Yeah.
business chair could kind of elaborate, like, what is that force of that wrap coming out? Like, do you know how fast it's coming out? And it looks like the ends of it maybe have a little heavier weight, which causes it to kind of stay in place or wrap around. Can you just give us that?
It is. The physics behind it, there's a 7.5-foot Kevlar cord that it has 2 small anchors on the end. On the anchors, they have little hooks to catch clothing is your friend. And there's a safety cap on that to limit, what the hooks can actually do. So from a damage or injury pain standpoint, the worst you would ever see would be a small Band-Aid. The technology works through, it's a microgas generator. So it's similar to the deployment vehicle inside the cassette. It's within your airbag in your car. You have 3 stages of a microgas generation process. It's a very small portion of the first stage that deploys that. That's what allows the device to be extremely accurate and extremely consistent. And then there's that sight and the surprise and the sound, and then there's a sensation. And those 4 factors will change the OODA loop. So it will change someone's mentality. The sheriff mentioned earlier, a lot of deployments, actually we see about 55% of our device deployments in the field on someone who's in some form of mental illness. We have an epidemic in America. We have 53 million Americans with some form of mental illness. That's 1 in 5. Another statistic is that you're 16 times more likely to be killed by law enforcement if you have an untreated mental illness. So factoring all of those pieces in, society is growing. We're growing immensely with this epidemic of mental illness. And you think of when someone is under that type of a psychosis or in that behavioral breakdown, they don't typically respond to verbal commands. And so when the officer said, hey, you need to turn around and put your hands behind your back, they know, and you ask them once, you tell them the next time, and when they still say no, you wrap them. And about 86% of the time, it makes the situation better. The goal is nobody gets injured, right? The subject or the officer. And so that's the goal with the technology. That's the win, is that neither side get injured. To the sheriff's point also, we're not replacing anything on a belt. We just want to stay in that 98%. There's 2% of interactions among law enforcement and the public become uses of force. We want to stay in the 98% and prevent it from ever getting to a reportable use of force.
And what is the range of use for this particular device?
It's 10 to 25 feet.
Okay.
So that's the optimum range is about 15 feet, but I've seen it deployed out to 37 feet, and I've seen it deployed less than 10. But we typically say give yourself 10 feet to give that cushion, but also allowing that Kevlar cord coming out to fully deploy so it can, really get that nice solid tight wrap.
I mean, but I'm just hypothetically thinking here, if you're in a situation where the suspect is armed, I mean, is this useful?
No.
Please.
We don't bring you don't bring a knife to a gunfight. So if he is armed with a weapon, then that force will be met with the same type of force. Now, again, we are not taking anything off our officers' tool belts. This is just an additive. And they've trained when to use the device and when not to use the device. And they know, even with a knife, this is not an appropriate device to use. They're going to have to go with a heavier weapon. Probably will be their sidearm. So they understand the training methodology behind this. They know when they should use this device and when they should not use it. But we're not bringing a BolaWrap to a gunfight. No.
One of the officers are available. I just want to ask, why is it important to have another tool like this in your toolkit?
Yes, sir.
Come on, tool.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Like you said, our tool and our toolkit, we do have multiple tools at our disposal, and we need to always be prepared should that force scenario ever escalate. It may be at a low level of force necessary, but the individual could choose to increase that level, and I would need to possibly increase to a different tool at that time. I may need to go from my wrap to my taser, and hopefully, unfortunately, may not have to go to my sidearm. That's what we're trying to prevent. But we do need to make sure we have multiple levels of force at our disposal.
LT, can you introduce yourself first?
Yes, I'm Lieutenant Daniel.
And secondly, how long have y'all had this, and have you ever had the opportunity to use it?
Yes, sir. We got our instructors here certified back in May, and we already have one successful deployment dealing with an individual that was having an episode that we had to take that individual to the hospital by court order. The individual was trying to get away from our officers, and instead of trying to go hands-on where it could have escalated to a physical altercation or possibly tase him, causing him to fall and hit a hard surface of which he was standing on, our officer chose to use his wrap, was able to deploy it around the individual's legs, and immediately close that gap and detain him. He was completely taken by surprise on what just occurred, the noise that it made, just as you were, sir, when we deployed it on you, and he was successfully taken to the hospital to receive treatment.
Lieutenant Daniel, what's your first name?
Brock, B-R-O-C-K.
All right, do we have any further questions? All right, at this time, if we don't have any further questions, we're going to end the press conference. Sheriff, thank you. Kevin Mullins, thank you very much. And cameras, I would invite any of you to come up. Deputy Paris over here is actually wearing the BolaWrap in one of the manners that our deputies on the road will be wearing it. So if you want to get some shots of how it is on her vest, that'll be great. Otherwise, this concludes the press conference. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.